I am Shivram, Senior Technical Officer, National Aerospace Laboratories, Bangalore. I will be introducing you to module ePrints case study under digital library paper. So, the main objective of this module is to give a detailed overview of ePrints archiving software. So, dear students, from previous chapters of this paper, you would have got a fair idea about what are digital libraries and what are its segments. So, the presentation explains how you are going to set up a digital archive or an institutional repository using ePrints archiving software. Okay. First, let us understand what are digital archives. So, digital archives are the platforms for preservation of a digital collection by storing and providing seamless access over a network to the end users. So, what are the processes involved in digital archiving? Digitization or capturing a digital documents, storing them in a reliable media, preserving them with a appropriate file formats, and retrieving them with a robust search or browse facility, and finally disseminating the retrieved information to the end user. Now, what are institutional repositories? These institutional repositories are nothing but digital archives of an institution where it aims to capture intellectual output of its faculty, research students, research associates, and etc. And providing access to end user within the institution or outside the institution through an open access channel, with or without barriers of access. The popular tools available for setting up an institutional repositories are ePrints and DSpace. So, now let us understand what ePrints and its features. So, ePrints is an open source software distributed under GNU General Public License. It has been developed by Electronics and Computer Science Department, University of Southampton. It can be installed on various Linux variants, and on single installation you can have a multiple collection, and each collection can have a various document types. So, ePrints is a multi-role based, on single installation one can build a multiple collections, and each collection can have a various document types. It supports a role based user types, which allows administrators to identify an authorized users who can manage and deposit content at your institution repositories. ePrints enables administrators to personalize their repositories. So, ePrints can be easily extendable for a newer functionality by writing a simple script in Perl. You can set a various types of access control to full text documents based on the repository policies. So, now the content can be imported from various standard file formats, for example, XML, BibTeX or PubMed XML directly to the ePrints. At the same time, you can export the content of your repository in a various file formats as well. ePrints is a OIPMH compliant. It means you can have a facility to have a cross repository search. It supports Unicode encoding, which facilitates multilingual content at your repository. ePrint supports a web-based administration, which means administrator can maintain the repository from anywhere of the world. You need to have a internet connectivity, and it has a various other features. So let us see what are the hardware software requirements required for ePrints, installation of ePrints. In terms of hardware software requirement, ePrints can be installed on ordinary desktop system. So all it needs is Pentium 4 processor, 512 and above RAM, and minimum 40 GB hard disk. Again, the disk space depends on your collection type. If your collection is huge, you should plan for a larger disk space. In terms of software requirements, it can be installed on Linux variants. The operating system should be Linux or other variants like Ubuntu, CentOS, Red Hat, etc. and web server Apache 2.0 or later, MySQL 5.0 or later, and various Perl modules. And you need to have a static IP for your system, for your server, and a host name to configure this repository. So how ePrints works? So one can broadly classify functionalities of ePrints into 6 main categories. One is user registrations, where administrator can assign various privileges like authentic users, document submission, managers or reviewers to moderate submitted documents. Repository administrator looks after overall tasks of the repository. The second function, the document submission. Authentic users will submit documents with valid metadata to the repository. Repository managers will check or moderate or approve the deposited documents. They will check for valid metadata, copyright policies, file format and access rights, etc. Administration activities such as customization, access statistics, report generations, backup maintenance, etc. are controlled by administrator. End user get their required documents by searching or browsing the repository based on the access control of each document. Digital documents at the repository are archived with standards archive file formats like PDF or PDFA, etc. for future use. Students, now you got the functionalities of ePrints. Now let us see how it works. Let's understand how ePrints workflow is designed. So for better understanding, workflow is divided into 2 parts. You can see in the presentation, that is, one is a brown part and a green part. So brown part is for administrator or authorized users, and the green part is for end users. So now let us see administrator or authorized workflow. So authorized users will log in with their credentials, that is user ID or password, and they will select an appropriate document type which they want to deposit and assign metadata and upload its document, full text document. Once metadata is assigned, subject category will be given by the depositor. So after agreeing to the policies of repository, depositor will deposit the items at the repository. The next part is reviewer or a manager will come into picture. So, they will review the deposited content and they will check whether metadata is valid, the access rights what assigned by a depositor is right, and the copyright according to publisher policies if it is a journal articles. Once it satisfied all the repository policies, the reviewer or a manager will move the deposited item to live repositories. Now, it will be available for end users to access the document. So, as end user part, so he will come to repository and he will look for his required documents. So, get is required document, either he will use browse feature of a repository or a search feature of a repository. So, once he get hold of the document, based on the access rights, he will get the full text access. So, now let us walk through the ePrints default installation. So, once ePrints is installed, you will directed to a default home page. Default home page comes with the predefined features. Let us see what are those default features available for a default installation. So, you will have a default browse category. There are basically 4 types. Here you can see browse by year, subject, division, author. These are the default browse options, which you can customize as per your requirement by calling a required or a valid metadata. So, after that you can see a latest additions link where you will see the latest deposited documents of a previous last week, or you can extend based on your requirement. And you have a very interesting feature called Rss Feeds, which your end users can subscribe to that for a latest additions at your repository. And you have a simple search facility on home page, and of course, you have a user login options. So, this ePrints browse options can be customized as I told earlier. Only thing you need to do some changes in configuration files and call a valid metadata which you have assigned during deposition. So, once the retrieved documents can be grouped as per your convenience, that is as per authors you can group them, as per subject categories you can group them, as per document types you can group the documents which are which you have retrieved either through browse or search. And interesting feature is this, for each page you can generate Rss feeds. That is the beauty of ePrints software. As far as the search is concerned, ePrints supports both simple search and advanced search. The search results can be reordered on alphabetical order, or you can group them to a document type wise. These search results can be exported in a standard file formats like ASCII citation format, XML files, etc. And you can have Rss feeds for this each search page also, like you may search by a subject, for that subject search page results you can have a Rss feed. So, how individual record at ePrints looks? So, either you can get hold of this record by browse or search. So, browse list can be alphabetical list. You can have a browse list of alphabetical. Once you click on a particular document, a particular ePrint will be displayed with a metadata or a bibliographic details of that ePrint with a link to PDF file which you have which a depositor has submitted. And you will have a thumbnail image for that PDF file, and once you click on that PDF file, it opens into a browser plugin as a full text access based on the access rights you have. If it is restricted, you will have access only to metadata, and you will have a link to a request copy where you can request a full text from author. For authorized or privileged users, you will have a role based taskbar, which as indicated in this page. For depositors, you will have only a manage deposits option, and of course you can have your profile link and search history where you can save. So, to submit a new document, you have to go to manage deposits and click on that new item link, which will allow the previous steps what I have told in the previous slides. And you will also see what are all the documents which you have deposited till now, till that point of time, all list will be visible to you. For reviewer or repository managers, you can see the link now. Some extra roles have been given. So, that is review link is there, administrator link is there, some dashboard, etc. Here he will have a privilege to review the deposited documents at the repository. So, here he will check for a valid metadata, access rights, copyright policies, etc. If it is satisfying as per the repository policies, he will approve that document and move those documents to live repository. Okay, friends, now it has completed part 1 part of this presentation. Now we will see the content development, how as a depositor you can upload a document. Okay. So, now as you remember, I have told that there will be a 5 steps for document deposition process, and it can be done only by authorized users, that is only those who have a privilege to deposit the documents. So, what they will do, first they will log in with their user ID password to the repository, and you can see the taskbar as per role based taskbar will appear. So, they will click on manage deposits and the new item link, and you will get this screen where you will have a list of document types. By default, ePrint supports 17 document types, and you may think, if my document does not fall any of these document, what I have to do? Do not worry, there is an option called other, where you can deposit other document types which does not fall any of this category. So, now first step what you have to do, you select your document type and click on next. Here you have to upload a full text document of that ePrint. See, this ePrint can have a various related documents, all those you can upload. For example, if you have written a journal article, you will have a preprint, post print of that part or author copy, and a publisher version. And if you have any supplementary image files or audio files related to that ePrint, you can upload all those documents to the repository, and you have to set access rights as per publisher policies. Some publishers will allow full text access on open access channel, can be only preprint or only post print, etc. Based on that, you have to set access policy, access rights. To help you, there is a link to Sherpa Romeo project where they have listed all publisher copyright policies related to open access publishing. Once you assign access right, you click on next button. So, this is very important step where you will assign metadata for your ePrint. Through this metadata, end user will retrieve your document. So, you should be very careful while entering this metadata. So, first will be a title field, and you may notice there is a star mark on several fields. That star marks indicates those fields are mandatory. you cannot leave them empty. You have to enter the value in those fields. So, title field is a mandatory field now. You will enter a title. You please check for a spellings. And to avoid duplication, ePrints as a authority files concept, where it will check for a duplication. That means, if your document is already deposited at your repository, so it will display that this title has been already deposited at the repository. So, you can check for duplication there itself while entering the title, and abstract and all other related fields you will enter here. Once all metadata is entered, the next step will be assigning a subject. So, this will help for browse option. So, end user can come to directly a particular subject and get hold of the documents related to that subject. So, here you can assign more than one subject to your document. For example, your paper can fall in 2 subjects. So, you can assign both, you can assign more than 2 also. So, there is no restriction. So, by default, ePrints follows Library of Congress subject categories. So, this can be customized as per your institution requirements also. This will be explained in a coming slides. So, it is possible to customize this. Once a subject is assigned for your ePrint, next step is to read the repository policy, and if you are agreeing to that policy, finally you have to deposit your item. So, that is done, manager or depositor job is done. So, next comes a reviewer or a repository manager's functionality. Okay? Hope now you have got how to deposit a document at your ePrint archive or your institutional repository. Now, we will move to part 3 of the presentation, where we will discuss a little bit customization, how we can adapt ePrint to our local requirements or as per our requirement, whether it is possible or not, we will see, and what are all the areas we can customize, that also we will try to see. Okay? So, now first thing all wants to say is their home page should be different from others. So, nobody wants to maintain common home page of ePrint. So, all I want to do is I want to reflect all my innovative or creative things on my home page, and it should be different from others. So, whether it is possible or not, definitely yes, ePrints allows you to customize your home page. Okay? To do what you have to do. So, this customization can be done by several methods. One, you can open this index X page through administrator privilege, and you can do online editing of your home page, or you can download that index.x page to your local disk. Then you can edit and incorporate whatever you want to requirements to that page and upload and put it back to the same place. Okay? To do this, you need to have a fair knowledge of HTML syntaxes to edit this. To do this, log on as administrator, and you can see the taskbar where you have a edit page. You go to edit page, and you can see the link to edit X page code. Once you click on that, so all your HTML syntax or the code of that edit X page will be displayed in front of you. So, incorporate appropriate changes what you want there, and you can upload your logo and upload logo link, and all other things you can follow. There is a good documentation available for customization. You can follow those instructions if you have any difficulties. So, once your editing is completed, you just save that file if you are doing online, or just upload to the original place if you have downloaded. And one thing you have to remember, whatever customization you are doing at ePrints, to see its effect, you have to reload the configuration. that is available under your administrative privilege. So, this is the second example. So, now I have shown the workflow of a document depositor, that I have a 5 workflow steps, like one is selecting document type, uploading a file, and assigning a metadata and subject category, etc. So, if you want to change that workflow, that is also quite possible. For that, you have to go to a file called default.xml file. There you have to change that order. To go there, assuming that you have installed on your ePrints at Linux variant on /opt/eprints3/archives and archive ID. You can see that archive ID I have given it in a blue font. Why? Means that archive ID is your folder name or your repository name, which you would have given during the installation. So, it may not be archive ID as indicated here, it will be your folder name what you have given. So, then go to CFG, workflows, ePrint, default.xml. So, here you can change that workflow, okay? And you can include one more workflow step also, like custom. For example, your organization needs one more step for those kind of documents. You can put one more custom type. Here I have shown putting one more document type called custom workflow. Bottom of this slide you can see. Is that clear? So, now as I was telling, ePrints comes with default 4 browse options. Now, you want to put one more browse option. For example, you have a lot of project reports and you want to browse by a project number. So, how do you do that? So, whether it is possible or not? Yes, it is possible. You can have a n number of browse option at your repository. Only required thing is you need to have a valid metadata field for that, and you have to recall in that view.pl file. Here I have shown the example. You have to open view.pl file. So, how you do? Again same procedure as the previous slide. Go to your installation folder, that is /opt/eprints3/archives, your archive ID name, then cfg.d views.pl. Again it is a Perl script as its extension indicates. That syntax and all you have to follow as it is there in that file. So, here I have included one project number browse option. Just you follow these steps and you will have your own browse option. You can have any, as I told you, you need to have a valid metadata field. So, we have seen workflow customization, we have seen browse view customization. So, what other customization options ePrints gives? There are many, like you can add your own document type. As I told you, ePrints by default supports 17 document types. You can have 18th one, you can have n number which is required for you. You have to modify appropriate XML or Perl files, which is there in the documentation of ePrints, which is well explained. And you may want to assign a new metadata fields for your documents. That is also possible. That also you can do. And as I told you, by default ePrints follows Library of Congress subject category. You can have your own subject category. In our institution, we are following a NASA subject category since we work in the area of aerospace science and technology. So, that work we have done at our institution repository. And you can customize these ePrint phrases. By default phrases, you can change it as per your convenient, as your requirement. And to search page also can be customized. The search page results pattern also can be customized. Dear students, to summarize, ePrints is a very powerful open source digital repository tool. Many live repositories across the world are using ePrints. I have seen somewhere around 500 plus repositories which are listed on ROR, that is Registry of Open Access Repositories. You can visit there and you find many repositories are using ePrint software. Dependents of these softwares are also open source tools, that is Apache, MySQL, Perl, which is available free on internet, so which you can use for ePrints installation. And it supports a very powerful customization feature. You can customize in almost all aspects of these ePrints features, and it has got a very good documentation and a very good email support. If you mail your problem, probably very next day you receive a solution for that from that core group or user group. Hope you have got a fair idea about ePrints software, and I wish you all the best. You go ahead and install, try. Don't worry if you fail in first attempt. You go ahead, continue. You will one day you will definitely install and configure your repository for your institution. Thank you.